isn't necessarily tied down to AXI. Like, if you're just writing a module that has a stall for a variable amount of cycles, or has a variable latency, I guess is how a smarter person would phrase it, then you would need to have some way of communicating to any downstream modules that need the information coming out of that module. Hey, like, I'm done now. But if that downstream module could get full or could get busy, then that needs a ready signal. So the start handshaking thing isn't necessarily just for AXI. You can use it in Nox, you can use it whatever. I'm just gonna say AXI because it's a buzzword. Yeah, that's about it. There's some rules with AXI. The big one is never have a combinational path between your valid and your ready. That's a big no-no. It's also kind of inherently stupid. Valid should just be from the what's called the host, and it should only be asserted high when the host has data on the line that it's ready to give out. Ready should only be asserted when the device isn't full and is able to accept data, so it's not busy or full. So if there was a combinational path between valid and ready, and you had, like, for some reason you thought you were the next whatever, and you wanted to, like, spew off and make your own digi design, then you'll just end up having drop data. And that's, like, the bigger bug that people run into when they do AXI. They do this thing where, like, they go and third thing, and they have their valid and ready, but then they also have a third conditional in order to actually latch data from an AXI register, or whatever your protocol is. I just like saying AXI instead of, like, imaginary fake, like, foobar protocol. So yeah, if you do this, this is really bad because the handshake's still happening, the data's still on the line. There's a non-zero chance that you just don't latch the data, and then next cycle, the new data gets available on the line, your ready signal is still high, and you just drop data and your chip doesn't work anymore. So the way you should fix this is wherever you're driving your valid signal, you have, like, your W valid driver. That's just whatever pre-existing, like, information drove your valid signal. If I were you, I'd do it off state, but to each their own. And I spelled thing wrong, and also forgot semicolon. And you and that with the, whatever your, like, weird conditional you only want the handshake to happen on is, and then here you just get rid of this, and now you're always doing something when there's a valid and a ready. Something should always happen when there's a valid and a ready. Like, anything involving a data line should only happen if there's a valid and a ready. If you're writing from the host side to a device, you should always have some data on the line if you're doing a valid and ready. I mean, let's rephrase. You should always have data on the line if you're asserting valid. And then if you discover that there's a valid and ready, you should then be transitioning state to do something else. Something should always happen from both sides if there's a valid and a ready. Awesome. This is, like, a very core idea. Now, you're probably wondering, hey, what if I have a pipeline design? This is a amazing drawing, because I actually couldn't find exactly what I want. Imagine each of these is, like, a pipeline reg in your module, right? And there's this very scary problem. Let's imagine the blues are the ready signals and the reds are the valid signals, right? So this guy, and this is, like, your upstream, this is your downstream, right? So, like, let's say this guy's just, like, a FIFO at the end of the day, or whatever. We can be imaginative here. So, as you know with registers, let's go back to HDL. You put data in the register, and then it takes a cycle for that data to, like, next cycle is when that data can be in the register. So, if you have a ready, it would take, if this guy's no longer ready, and this guy's the one talking to, like, your fast Fourier transform IP, right, or your FFT IP, then there's a situation where this guy goes, hey guys, I'm not ready anymore. Like, this ready signal is, like, no longer true. Please tell me this thing has, like, a working control Z. Hell yeah. So this guy's like, hey, I'm not ready anymore. But this guy's not going to see that until next cycle. So this guy's going to still be saying, hey, I'm ready, because, you know, last cycle I was ready. And this guy's still going to be saying, hey, I'm ready, so last cycle I was ready. And then data's going to get it and do this guy. Then this guy says, hey, I'm not ready. The data's there. This guy says, hey, I'm still ready. More data comes in. Then this guy says, hey, I'm not ready. And then you have, like, data gets dropped, is what's going to happen. You have more data than you have registers to hold them. So, the naive fix to, well, not naive, but the first fix to this that you should probably implement to just sanity check your design. Do I have water? I don't think I do. That sucks. That you should do to sanity check your design is, hey, what if I just, like, stall? I.e., I stall the maximum amount of time it'll take for a ready to propagate. And this is kind of horrible, but it's sort of what you have to do. The other option, which introduces more circuit area, but is better, and I guess delay, is you put what's known as a skid buffer. So you put a nice little, I'm going to pick a different color. You're going to pick a nice little square here. You're going to put a nice square here, and here, and here. So now, the ready is going to propagate through. So what a skid buffer is basically just a 5 phone mux. But what's going to happen is the ready goes into our skid buffer. If the ready is ever not true, since it will take a cycle to change, data will still end up going through when this guy's full. But thankfully, remember, your skid buffer is just going to be a depth 1 FIFO. So if by some, like, if there's that horrible chance where data is going to come in, that's fine. Next cycle, now we're saying, hey guys, I need to switch to red. I'm going to switch to green actually. So this guy goes, hey, I'm not ready. It'll help if I drew every cycle. I'm not doing that. Thankfully, this is a video, not a blog. So this guy goes, hey, I'm not ready. This guy can still give out data when this guy is full. Like, this guy he can't take in any more data. So your skid buffer is going to take up the data instead on that next cycle, and then the ready's deasserted. This is super useful. And then you can imagine how this goes up the chain. The ready's deasserted, so this guy deasserts his ready. This guy's still giving up data. That's fine. We have our awesome skid buffer. And then when when this guy's ready again, I don't think I have an eraser, so I'm not even going to bother. When this guy's ready again, instead of accepting data from there, it's actually going to be accepting data from our buffer. This is really awesome, because we will only end up stalling if, like, the worst case scenario happens. If there is no worst case scenario, the ready just goes straight through and the data just flows as it normally would. This is just a regular skid buffer. There's the next step, which is a pipeline skid buffer, but I don't really feel like talking about that because it is 1:30 and I have a flight at 7, and I don't feel like missing a flight again and getting yelled at in an airport. So, yeah, that's a quick glance at AXI and skid buffers. I hope you learned. I think this is really cool. I think the first time I actually, like, personal, I guess. The first time I had to implement a pipeline skid buffer was when I was doing, like, research on network on chips, and I actually really enjoyed learning about it. It felt like, you know, it was something that wasn't covered in, like, my initial architecture classes, so it felt like sacred knowledge that only, like, cool people who, like, wrote software processors would get to know, and I thought it was really awesome. It's not that crazy of a concept, but I think, like, the pipeline skid buffer is a concept, like, I hold pretty close to my heart. And also, now that I've worked with AXI, like, more times than I can count on my right hand, it is just really good to have in the back pocket when we start working with pipeline designs. Yeah. Now for our shooting the shit portion of this. Oh my god. This is a presentation I made in what had to be one of the worst semesters of school, where I'm really curious what this is too. So basically, to digress, there's this thing called, like, the Peanut Institute, and my whole thing with peanuts is I kind of think that, like, they're just sort of weird. Like, everyone's always pushing peanut butters in your face, you know, like big peanut butter, like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's the thing they give you at school. Like, I'm just a little suspicious, you know. Whenever they push a food in your face, there's got to be a reason, right? So this isn't crazy, right? Like, spicy peanut hummus, like, whatever. Some guy's really into peanuts. Peanuts, the life-saving legume. Okay, now we're starting to push it. And then it says the research library. Why is there a research library on peanuts? And then there's just all these papers on peanuts. These are also recent too. And I'm not, like, bashing the Peanut Institute. Amazing work, you know. But then it says all these things. Heart health, how peanuts are good for heart health. Like, white papers. There are white papers on peanuts? You know, last time they tried to push something so hard, there's usually like a background on it. You know, fact sheets on peanuts. You know, I'm debating even putting this out on YouTube because Big Peanut might stop me from getting a job. Like, why are they pushing peanuts so hard? Who is the Peanut Institute? And it's just like, they're always pushing peanut butter in your face. And I remember I was like, this was during like the 6th week of school when you're like really stressed out and like you start hearing voices and like these worksheets and you're like, what the? And I saw this and I was like, this has to be a setup. Like, you know, everything happens for a reason. Therefore, like, Big Peanut, why are they pushing peanuts? So, here's a man with tinfoil on his head. I hope that's not a copyrighted image. Multiple kinds of peanuts. Wi-Fi bars bouncing off of the tinfoil. Except I do still enjoy pistachios. So, big nut cover-ups. So, the former peanut company official sentenced to prison for the roles in salmonella-tainted peanut product outbreak. Millions of dollars worth of almonds, pistachios, and walnuts are going missing in California. There is reason to believe that thefts are linked. Okay, now we're starting. Like, if one of these happened, sure. This was just a food health thing. This, crazy. Why are millions of dollars worth of almonds, peanuts, and pistachios going missing in California? California especially. That's where laws are the loosest. That's where you, like, get around with, like, I don't know, just everything goes in California. So, if, like, this isn't crazy, but this in combination with the fact that there's an entire website just pushing peanuts for everything. They got lunch, dinner. What kind of recipes they got on peanuts for dinner? Air fryer chickpea and peanut falafel. Sticky sesame vegan meatballs with peanut plus lentil. That's the other thing. Everyone's always trying to put peanuts into other things. Like peanut spaghetti. I remember I went to like a work dinner and I ordered pad thai and there's peanut. I wonder if I'm saying something not offensive culture. Never mind. But I swear to God, I go on TikTok and I see people and it's like peanuts and marinara sauce, peanuts and spaghetti, peanuts just they put. I hate it when I see the walnuts on a salad. Why are there walnuts on a salad? It really like breaks. I'm talking about food again. Dang, me too. But this is a cover-up. This has nothing to do with the food. It's more like the food is like a vehicle for a message. Ground nut stew. Where are we going? Like, and it's also like, I know a good amount of vegetarians and vegans, and like a good quarter of them are allergic to peanuts. So actually, that's kind of a straw man argument. Like, peanut butter power bowl, and look at that. I think I see raw fish, or that could be tomatoes. I'm nearsighted. Like, what are they trying to cover up? What's a Big Peanut trying to hide from us? These are the questions that we need to be asking. And, yeah, they've been pushing almond milk on us. Pushing oat milk's whatever. But almond milk, they've been pushing this nut-based milk on us. Big Nut is moving something. And, like, this isn't like other things. This isn't like there's no chicken website. I bet you, like, chicken versus peanut sales. Oh, the AI said the peanut sales are facing increased competition from plant-based protein alternatives and potential disruptions due to rising production costs. So Big Peanut's losing out to the AI vegan recipes and all like those food science people that are making like their plant protein. Like, it is a Thai thing to put peanuts and chicken together. Okay, I take back what I said about the pad Thai. But I still think that Big Peanut's trying to push something, and I'm not here for it. But also, the main thing that I've kind of been messing with are these, I'm the kind of guy who like watches the review. These Kind Max protein bars, these are amazing. 20 grams of protein, 250 calories, but they don't taste like you're eating cement. These are so damn good. And it's kind of crazy that Big Peanut's face is on it. It's pretty convenient that the one good protein bar has Big Peanut on it. Why are all these bars peanut related? Peanut's very calorically high. Peanut butter like makes you fat. Well, no food makes you fat, it's all about moderation. But still, like, Big Peanut is pushing something. And I'm just saying, next time you go to the store and you're shopping with your vegetarian friend and they reach for the peanut milk, go, what's going on? Are you just a vehicle for some big, fat, rich pockets to be filled? I'm actually very, like, this website scares me. Like, who did this about people? Like, oh, who's paying them? Who's pouring money into this? Are the big peanut... This is a non-profit. So, like, if they're a non-profit, they are not getting money from Big Peanut. If there were to be getting money from Big Peanut, that would be illegal. They couldn't claim as a non-profit. So how are they getting money? And if they're doing this for free, why would someone do this? Diets and guidelines? Like, just watch out. Next time you're at a store and they try to put more peanuts in your face, I'd just be kind of suspicious. Big Peanut's doing something, man. I saw a TikTok about, like, that one dude who, he does, like, street interviews and they put the mic to his face and they go da-da-da-da, and he was talking about, like, milk and how, like, milk cartons and, like, milkman went out of fashion and all that, and he talked about, like, Big Nut, and guess what? That video only had, like, 20,000 views, but that channel had, like, 1 million, 2 million followers. Why'd that video get shadow banned? Big Nut. You speak out. Get got. I thought this origami crane through the process of this video. Anyways, AXI and peanuts. This is a good video. I'm gonna go catch my plane now. Peace.